If you guys want to understand the difference of front-end and back-end, so watch this video till the end. In this video, we talk about the difference of front-end and back-end and understand what is front-end and what is back-end. And we also see the technologies and the programming languages for front-end and for back-end. So let's get started. Hello world, it's Hatim Tekri. So in this video, we talk about the front end and back end. So front end and back end is the two part of any website. First, we understand the front end part. So what is front end? Front end is the thing which you see on your screen or which you see in the browser. And the backend is the part which is running behind the scene or which is running behind the screen. For example, if there is a web form, a form where you enter your data and at the end you click on the submit button, and after clicking on the submit button, the data which you have entered in the form will be saved in the database. So this front end, the web form, the form which you see on your screen, the text box, the heading of text box, the design of the page, the heading of the page, all these things comes inside the front end. And when you click on the submit button, the data goes to the server and server manipulate the data and at the end save their data into the database. So this manipulating and saving the data into the database, this process comes inside the backend part. And the things which you see on your screen, that form is come inside the front end part. So this is how the front end and back end are different. So this is the difference of front end and back end. Now we understand the programming languages and the technologies for front end. So in front end, the basic programming language which is must to become a front-end developer is HTML and CSS. Without HTML and CSS, you would not able to become a front-end developer. So these two languages is the basic for front-end. And these two languages is not a programming language. HTML is a markup language and CSS is a styling language. So to structure your front end, we use HTML. And to put the styles or design on that structure, the CSS is the key role for the design. Now the framework for the front end. Nowadays, the front-end framework are booming, and that is Angular, React and Vue. And from these three, the React is the most famous framework nowadays. Now to make your front end more interactive, at that time the JavaScript come into picture. So to make your front end more interactive, so for that we have to use the JavaScript. Now this Angular, React and Vue is based on JavaScript. This framework uses JavaScript as their programming language. So JavaScript is booming nowadays. And why I am telling you that JavaScript is booming nowadays, you will understand when we talk about the backend part. Now what this front-end framework do? This front-end framework create your front-end, the structure and design of your front-end more interactive and more user-friendly. That's why this front-end framework is booming nowadays. Because in the earlier time, what happened that the page which you see on the screen will, all the pages and all the code comes from the server on every request. But now, due to this front-end framework, Angular, React and Vue, the front-end part will be fetched on the first request, and after that we only request to get the data and post the data and not the whole page. So that's why this front-end framework will make your website more and more faster. So to learn this front-end framework, first you have to learn the JavaScript programming language. So that's it for front end. Now we talk about the backend part. Now in backend, there are many languages to use, and some of them are Java, C Sharp, Ruby and Rails, JavaScript, Python, and all the other languages. Now this JavaScript comes inside the backend part from last 5 to 10 years. Before that, JavaScript is only in the front end part. Now when JavaScript come into the backend part, and the need of JavaScript will be increased like anything, because from the single language, that is JavaScript, you can build an interactive front end and a powerful backend. So using JavaScript, you can create the RESTful services or RESTful API in the backend, and in the front end, you will create an interactive website using Angular, React or JS. Angular, React or Vue. So in backend, using the JavaScript, you can create the RESTful services or RESTful API. So this is how the front end and back end is different. When the front end create the request to get the data using the API, that request come to the backend. Backend manipulate the data, get the data from the database, manipulate the data and give back the result or give back the response to the front end. So that's how the whole cycle of a website works. That the request come from front end, goes to backend, backend get the data from the database and manipulate the data and give the response back to the front end. So I think in this video you understand the difference between front end and back end and the technologies to use for front end and back end. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.